Welcome back to Mentor Nation, the podcast for entrepreneurs looking for real mentorship, real strategies, and real stories so that you can go out and build your dreams. I'm your host, John Abbas, and it's time for another episode, so buckle your seatbelt and let's go. Hello, Mentor Nation family, and welcome back to another super awesome episode. I am your host, John Abbas, and today I have the privilege of introducing you to the incredible Dr. Aaron Hinde. Aaron is the founder and CEO of the LifeAid Beverage Company. And if you haven't heard of them, LifeAid is an ultra-healthy alternative to the current energy drinks on the market, which are loaded with sugar and just tons of artificial ingredients. In 2011, Aaron was a chiropractor in California when he realized that as an advocate for health, it was pretty ridiculous that there were no healthy options for energy drinks at stores and at the gym. Although he had no money and zero experience in the beverage industry, he decided to do something about it. He wanted to do something that many people thought was just not possible: to create an energy drink that was healthy, really worked, tasted great, and was not loaded with sugar. And to make matters worse, the beverage industry itself has a 99% failure rate, and he would have to take on industry titans such as Red Bull and Monster. Using determination, grit, and out-of-the-box thinking, he built LifeAid into an absolute powerhouse. LifeAid has expanded into several different brands, including the super popular FocusAid, PartyAid, and FitAid, and is now sold globally in gyms, grocery stores, Walmarts, and events. They sell a mind-blowing 2.5 million cans per month. They're growing at more than 50% per year, and they are on track to do almost $35 million in sales in 2019. Now, in today's episode, we talk about Aaron's journey from idea to success, the lessons learned along the way, and why you should pursue your dream, even if it seems impossible at first. If you are looking for inspiration, you need to think bigger, or you just need one of those get off your ass interviews, then you are in the right place. There are so many nuggets of wisdom in this interview, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, Aaron, thank you so much for being on Mentor Nation and welcome to the show.
God, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So just to get started, I wanted to ask if you wouldn't mind just sharing maybe just a really cool experience that you've had recently, or maybe somebody really interesting that you've met in the past maybe few months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a student of really paying close attention to what other people or other companies are really doing right in that, and incorporating that into our business. And so we just got back from the Olympia bodybuilding show last weekend, and I was staying at the Wynn, and I checked in to the Wynn, and the individual behind the counter, his name is John as well. I haven't had a customer experience that good in years. I mean, this guy was so professional, so attentive, saw the shirt that I was wearing, made the assumption I was with the show, recognized the FitAid brand. I mean, just everything that he did, how he handled it. He ended up even coming by the show and by our booth and, remembered my name, called me Mr. Hinde, didn't mispronounce my name. It was just so on point that it was a topic of conversation around the office and around with our customer service team, like how well this guy executed his job at such a high level, definitely making emotional deposits.
Wow, that's incredible. I used to actually live in Vegas. I owned a restaurant there and I opened it right before the recession. So that was pretty short-lived, but they were just building the Wynn and the Encore. And I mean, everything Steve Wynn touches, it's amazing. So that's really, really cool that you had that experience. It's exciting to hear that.
It's amazing that, the building's beautiful, everything's so tight, but to have the individuals that are working there trained to such a high level, and it takes a lot to impress me these days, quite frankly. And to have that experience that, I'm talking to you about it, I've talked to our entire team about it, talked to my business partner about it, my wife, it's just like, okay, they're continuing. That's going to be a place that I definitely go back to.
Man, that's awesome. So Well, thank you again for being on the show. And I want to also thank you for creating a really healthy energy drink. It's really about time somebody has done that. And I just want to ask if maybe one day you can create maybe a healthy gummy bear, or a healthy cheesecake or something that tastes good.
The new sweeteners that are coming out, monk fruit specifically, the flavor profiles are amazing and they contain zero sugar. So it's really exciting. I think we're going to be able to get some incredibly tasting food and beverage products in the future that don't have the big, sugar load of the current day cheesecakes and gummies and that type of thing.
That's awesome. So today, my hope by this interview, that maybe we could work together, because my goal is to give the audience listening, the big thing, especially for this interview, is just to give them the inspiration and the confidence to, maybe just pursue an idea or a dream that they may have, no matter how far-fetched or how they might feel like the odds are stacked against them. And I think you are the perfect person to just give that inspiration just through your story and your journey. But before we begin that, I have to tell you a quick story, if you don't mind, on just kind of how this came to be. It's just why I'm so excited about this interview. So several years ago, I was living in Chicago, and me and two of my friends, we decided to just move to Nashville. We were with a nutrition company. We wanted to build a sales team out there. And so we got an apartment together, and one of my roommates at that time, his name is John as well, and he's just super shredded, like a super fit athlete throughout college. And, in the apartment, I remember John would get these shipments of drinks, and he swore by them. Like he would drink like 2 or 3 a day, and it had, had sexy packaging, and the cases would show up, and he was just telling me how great it worked. And obviously it was Life Aid, it was Fit Aid, and it was Focus Aid. And I remember I would wait for him to get up and go to work so that I could go in the refrigerator and steal one. And I would just do this like every day for like a month. And then I started ordering myself, obviously, but it was really funny. And so it was just so crazy because, we've been customers for, like 3-4 years now. And I was in my car a few months ago, and, one of my favorite podcasts is the Mike Dillard Show. And I just remember the title, and it was just like David versus Goliath. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to be a really good one. And it was you. And I was like, oh my God, like I love this drink. And just the interview was like absolutely incredible. And that's why I had to reach out to you. And I'm really grateful that you're on here today. And so we can get right into it. I just wanted to share that story with you.
Hey, well, I appreciate you and your roommate being fans and customers of ours. And Mike's a great guy, so I'm glad it all came together.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to start by just asking, what you were doing before you had the idea to start Life Aid, and just really how you got the idea for it in the first place.
Yeah, well, I was a sports chiropractor for a decade, 10 years here in Santa Cruz County. Had a great practice, very successful practice. And that's what originally got me into CrossFit, because I was treating some of the employees from CrossFit HQ here in Santa Cruz County and some of the athletes coming into town, and always been active myself and in the gym. And started, going to CrossFit. That's where I met my business partner, Orion, in a CrossFit gym. And, really the company started from, I always say it's really ignorance and passion. We're both passionate about, creating. We both had young kids. Our daughters were 5 years old in kindergarten together at the time. And we knew we wanted to create, a better way to drink for our kids. I mean, you look at, if you rewind 9 years ago, there really wasn't the selection of kind of clean, healthy beverages on the market. It was driven by energy drinks, which we know are, high sugar, artificial ingredients, high stimulants, taurine, et cetera. Your traditional sports drinks, which is just sugar, water. And just hitting the scene was kombuchas and coconut waters, but those are very acquired taste, not something that, kids would normally gravitate towards.
That's right.
We wanted to marry kind of that clean, healthy, functional aspects of some of the new emerging drinks with the kind of cool, sexy, hip lifestyle branding of the energy drinks. And that marriage is how Life Aid was born.
Wow. Now, who chose the name? Was it you?
Orion we actually started a supplement company originally that was functional supplement blends. And from there, we decided, if supplements were the way to go, and this is dating myself, I'm in my mid 40s now, No Dose would be a $1 billion company and Red Bull wouldn't be what it is today. So we pivoted from supplements into RTDs and basically took those supplement formulations and put them into ready to drink.
Ah, okay. That's really interesting. One of my questions actually was going to be, how did you come up with the ingredients? So that journey probably started a little bit before you just decided to create a drink. Is that right?
I've had a lot of classes in nutrition through chiropractic college, and it's been very much a part of my life. I used to sell supplements in college, in my undergrad. I had a little supplement business going. So I've been in that industry, since my late teens. And one thing that always frustrated me is having to buy, full bottles of supplements. Like if we were at Burning Man, we might have to bring a full bottle of 5-HTP, a full bottle of B vitamins and vitamin C and, all the, and electrolytes. And I was like, gosh, it would be nice if it was just like a pre-packaged deal where I had everything that I needed for any particular use occasion and it was all ready to go. And that's kind of what translated into the beverages, each of these blends. Fit 8 is what most people know us for, is specifically designed for a use occasion.
Gotcha. And so you had this idea, was it in 2010 or 2011?
Yeah, we started the company in 2011.
2011. If you wouldn't mind, just maybe take us through that journey a little bit. So you have the idea, obviously, you named it. What is kind of the next step after you do that? Is it a lot of money? Like, do you call companies?
I have always been an idea guy, and I've had several businesses in the past, and my process was always usually have a couple glasses of wine, have a great idea, share it with everybody, share it with my wife. And if it's actually a good idea, the next day she would say, hey, that thing you were talking about last night, you should pursue that. And that was, the thing with Life Aid is after we, had this concept, she had that comment like, hey, you guys should, pursue that. And so I said, interesting. If something is, everything sounds good when you're buzzed, but when you're sober, if it still sounds good, it's like, okay, let me think about this a little bit. And basically, Ryan and I on his birthday in January, we sat down in front of the computer and decided to go for it. We registered 80 domain names in one night. We even got bonerade.com for 11. Believe it or not. Yeah, we just were off to the races. I mean, it started out when we were going to do, a product called Raverade, which was, a festival drink. And then we thought, well, it's a AC, so let's look at Party Aid. So we got partyaid.com, and then we're like, oh shit, we go to a CrossFit gym. What about Fit Aid? And we just registered every possible name we could think of in that on that night. And that was basically step one, and step two was like, okay, how do you actually make a drink? And so we started doing some research, and we found what's called a flavor house, which all they do is, turn your concept into reality in the lab. They basically have a big food lab, and you go in and you put the ingredients together and try to make it taste good, and then reaching out to can manufacturers. And that's a whole story in and of itself. We almost got, we're basically a non-starter before because we couldn't get the cans in the quantity. We wanted very minimal quantity. We were cash strapped, bootstrapping. We emptied our savings accounts and put $30,000 each into the kitty, which doesn't last very long in beverage. So I'll just tell the story. We reached out to the big can manufacturer in the United States, which is called Wrexham. And they have sales reps just like any company. We reach out to the sales rep. The backdrop for the story is, the beverage business has a 99% failure rate. And, it's very intensive. So when we call the sales rep, he's like, are you in the beverage game? No. Do you have any experience? No. And then we said, well, we want just a pallet of cans. And he kind of laughed. He's like, a pallet of cans? It's like, first of all, there are no blank cans. They're called silver bullets if there's any blank cans left. There are no silver bullets. These things are all made and printed to order so that, it's all part of the assembly line process for cans. And the minimum run on cans is 202,000 cans, right? 202,000. Sort of wiped out our complete bank account. We couldn't afford it. Plus, we didn't even know if we had a viable business or not. And we were just looking for one pallet, which was about 2,000 cans of blank cans, right? And he kind of laughed us off and said, all right, kids, call me back when you actually have some capital and a real business. And so what we did is we could have folded up shop right then and tucked tail and ran. But instead we wrote him, Mike was his name, a handwritten note with $100 Ruth Chris gift certificate in there and said, hey, thanks for your time. If any of the silver bullets show up around the warehouse, please give us a call. Well, lo and behold, a week later, we got a phone call and we were able to purchase one pallet of cans, and we were off to the races. We had our first short run of Golf Raid. Actually, it was our first product on the market, and it cost us, I think, $4 a can to make it because it was such a limited quantity, and we ended up selling it for $2 a can to see if we had proof of concept.
Oh, so you're losing money, but it was more just for the proof of concept to see if you had a market.
Correct. Yes.
That's awesome. And I want to reiterate something like so important for the audience right here, because you said something so valuable that I hear over and over and over and over again when I interview or when I watch interviews. You know, the fact that you sent him a handwritten note with $100 Ruth's Chris gift card, you know, that's so powerful. I was listening to the Airbnb story not too long ago, and you know, they had an idea. They did not have a tech background. He was just a designer. And the only way they got into this incubator was because they were super broke trying to test the concept out. And, you know, one of them had an idea to create this thing called Obama O's, which is like a cereal for the presidents, model after the presidents. And they made like 20, 30,000 just as a novelty. But it was that ingenuity and that creativity that somebody noticed, and that's how they got into an incubator that they would have never gotten into. And there might not even be an Airbnb today had an entrepreneur not just gotten creative. And so I just wanted to stress that, because it's so important that you did that a lot of people would overlook, you know, sending that thoughtful message, which made you come to mind when a silver bullet pallet was available. That's really cool. And so you got the cans and you didn't have to buy 200,000 of them. And so now the flavor, did that take a long time to like create the flavor that you wanted with your ingredients?
Yeah, it did, because we have an efficacious dose of supplements, effective dose in each can, which is not what most companies do. The reason why a vitamin water is clear is because it doesn't have shit in it. It's got pixie dust, right?
Right.
You know, and so we had like 3 grams of supplements in these cans, and we refused to use, you know, one of our pillars is to always keep it clean and natural. So no sucralose, no aspartame, you know, no artificial colors, flavors, or sweeteners. And the food scientist was immediately like, look, we can't use this volume of active ingredients and, you know, this low of a sugar amount and actually make it taste good. And we said, well, we're not willing to compromise on that, and started to walk away right when we got there. Said, well, wait, let's see if we can make this work. And, you know, we worked at it. Our first run of Fit Aid was actually horrible. It tasted bad. I was embarrassed to sample it out. And thankfully, you know, we keep going back and keep working on it, get customer feedback, keep iterating until you have it right. And that's what we've done. And now all our products taste great.
That's awesome. And I'm sure when you create a new line of products, it's much easier to find what you're looking for without having to go through so many iterations, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we just finalized our new CBD line, and it might be our best tasting product yet.
Oh my goodness. You're coming out with a CBD line?
Yeah, we've basically had it banked for, you know, the last 2 years. It's been pretty much done, and we decided to actually move forward with that product and go ahead and launch it. And so we went back and just kind of worked the flavor over a few more times to make sure we had it perfect, and it's awesome.
Man, I can't wait for that. And so I want to move forward, because you said earlier that the beverage industry has a 99% failure rate. Like, that's incredible. And I wanted to guess here, like, do you think that it's distribution is where that happens? Or like, what part of creating and distributing a product do you think that 99% they keep missing out?
Yeah, it's 95% in the first 12 months and 99% within 5 years. And where does it go wrong? It goes wrong at every step of the game, every step. It goes wrong primarily when entrepreneurs are not thinking accurately. So you're creating, you know, a business model based on a set of assumptions, and you could be right on 9 out of 10 of those assumptions, but if you're wrong on one of them, it could sink the entire ship. You know, so from packaging, formulation, positioning, ingredients, flavor profile, distribution, cash burn, customer demand, volume per outlet. There's so many ways you can go wrong, right, specifically in this business. And, you know, I think that's why when you see success stories, you know, people, you know, look at those and idolize those and like, oh, wow, that company sold for $1 billion, $2 billion, $4 billion. Right. It's like, well, yeah, but, you know, tens of thousands failed.
Right.
one succeeded. It's almost like becoming a professional athlete.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you figure out the flavor, you figure out composition, you get the cans. So am I guessing the next step is distribution, which obviously you just did a trial run. Like, who did you distribute that trial run to? Like, did you have a target market in mind when you first started?
Absolutely. Rule number one on any entrepreneurial venture is choose a single target market, as Dean Jackson would say. And for us, we started with Golf Raid. The first concept was Rave Raid / Party Aid. We actually launched Golf Raid first because there was zero competition in golf. And so obviously a golfer was our primary target. And so I went out and closed 7 golf courses, 7 total. And we started demoing and selling every weekend at those 7 golf courses and created a sell story. And we were able to raise some money from friends and family at a decent valuation for only having 7 golf courses.
Wow. I don't know if you remember this or not, but do you remember what you said to those golf courses to make them sign with you?
Oh God, my pitch was horrible at the time. It was so complicated. We were calling it a nutraceutical golf beverage with epimenium and all that shit people would. I think I just confused people so much. They were just like, okay, yeah, we'll take it on. The basic pitch is, it's a very clean, product, and there's no clean products on the golf course. What you put in your body reflects in how you perform, especially in golf. I mean, you don't want to go chug an energy drink and then be shanking or, getting jittery, missing 3-foot putts on the back nine, but that's what a lot of people do.
That's funny. I could imagine if I were you and I was going in there, I would just be like, first off, my name is Dr. Hinde, and then the rest is no brainer because they trust you. They take it.
I had some free time at the time, so I did golf a little bit. And so having those relationships, them knowing that I was a patron of the course and creating irresistible offers. I mean, we did sell all that first product, but, if I would recommend, if you've got a great product and it's going to resonate with your consumer base, and don't be afraid to just have zero risk, give it to them, have them pay you later. Just say like, here it is. Just put it right out and give them the pitch and get the employees. That's another thing. You got to sell all the employees, because the people are going to ask the caddy, people are going to ask the check-in guy, like, oh, what's this Golf Raid all about? How is it? Oh yeah, it's, they need to have tried the product, got the pitch on the product. And so you can multiply your sales force, which we didn't have a sales force for our first 5 years. We had 0 salespeople outside of myself and Ryan. You can create a sales force by, the employees that work for that particular outlet or retailer.
That makes a lot of sense. And so you got it. Obviously, you sold through the first pallet. You raised a little bit of money because you had a proof of concept. And so, next steps, how did you move forward? Did you just place a bigger order? Did you create more than one product? What did you do next, if you don't mind me asking?
We did a lot of things wrong. We launched 2 more products way close together, Party Aid and Fit Aid. They all had separate websites. They all had separate social media accounts. Different channels. We didn't want to co-mix or co-mingle the communities, because they're all different communities. The festival burner community is very different than the golf community, very different than the CrossFit community. And so we made lots of mistakes, launching products too quickly, too close together, being way too spread thin, not really getting great traction in any of the target markets. Actually, for the first, 2 years, Golf Raid was bringing in the majority of revenue because we were successfully selling into golf courses. But as we continued to run out of money and we're having trouble making our bills every week, the best advice I ever got was, we need to really choose a single target market. And that's when we looked at the business and decided to quadruple down with Fit Aid, specifically in CrossFit. Even though it wasn't bringing in much revenue at the time, the trajectory, the sell-in was easier than golf, and the sell-through, the amount of product that those gym goers were consuming was much greater than the golf course. So it was a small piece of business, but it had a great trajectory. So we quadrupled down there.
Gotcha. That's and this is the part of the story where I really want to hone in on a little bit, just because I remember when I was learning about your story and I was studying up, how you approach distribution is what really allowed you to crush it. Because if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people, when they create drinks, they try to go head to head in the very beginning with the big companies by trying to get distribution in grocery stores. And you took a different approach. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, when the average person walks into a convenience store, they're in there for like 90 seconds. They know exactly what type of drink they're going for. They go to that case, they get it, and they're out of there. So as a startup trying to, that with a product that no one's ever heard of and no one knows, trying to go against the big boys is the quickest way to burn through all your cash and die a quick death on the grocery shelf. So it was really out of necessity. We just didn't have the finances to do that. We wanted to, we just didn't have the money to. So we started old school doing direct mail to gyms. We would basically force a 4-pack of product on them, whether they asked for it or not. Created an irresistible offer. And in this case, it was a free refrigerator with a 10-case order, and put them through a sales sequence. And we were successful in closing 15% of those gyms in the first 7 days that we cold called, basically cold sent product to and put them in our sales sequence. We would close and they bring on selling product.
Wow. How did you get all of the contact information? Did you just go to Google and just Google gyms one by one?
That's right. One at a time.
That is incredible. Now, when you did that, if they did a 10-case order, did that cover the cost of the refrigerator, or was this another front-end offer and you made your money more on the back end with reorders?
Yeah, we basically, after shipping, got real close to breaking even, if not right at break even. So, we knew we had a great product. We knew it would resonate with the community. So we weren't afraid to go negative. And now we'll go negative, significantly if we need to on the right type of an account, because, I know we'll make it up. We're all about playing the long game and lifetime value and not looking for, short-term, profits on any given account.
Wow, that's really incredible. So several years, you're just grinding it out one by one. I mean, you're just forcing it, and it starts to work. You start to get traction. Is there a period of time where it took off like wildfire?
Yeah, I'd say like 2014, we really dialed in our messaging and our offer and our copy and our email sequence, and everything really started humming. And we used to ring the bell in the office every time we got a new account, and it was so exciting. And remember when we first started, we'd get like 10 accounts in a month and we'd be all happy. And then 15, 30 was like a big milestone because we were averaging one a day. And then it got up to 200 a month, and it was like, okay, we can't even ring the bell anymore.
That's awesome. I guess in the tech world, they call this finding your product market fit, when you just have that stride where people are telling people and you kind of get pulled into it rather than having to force it all the time. That's really awesome. I want to shift gears just for the next few minutes before we wrap up, because this is something that really fascinates me, and especially the audience listening. A lot of them are entrepreneurs, and a lot of them are building their own businesses and starting their own businesses. And I want to just take a couple minutes and talk about, your role as a CEO of a company. What are your strengths? What is it that you delegate? And then just kind of what your day-to-day is like now. Like what do you focus on in a typical day?
Yeah, so my part of the business is sales, marketing, customer service, product development. My business partner, Ryan, focuses more on financial, logistics, accounting. And so I'm looking for, I call kind of nickname like a $10,000 day. Like I want a phone call, and emails, a campaign, a marketing idea that I can send or do that I know is going to generate like 10 grand, boom, instantly.
Right.
So I'm looking for, things that move the needle, and and I don't mind playing the long game. I mean, I've been working on certain accounts personally for 4 years now and will continue to do so. So I've made cold calls that have resulted in big deals with major celebrities who everybody would know, from distribution things to, an announcement we'll have in January where we're on the menu of a major retailer restaurant chain, throughout the country. All that was just around like an idea and then pursuing it. Outside of that, it's really working with my department leads and meeting with them on a weekly basis and making sure that the ship's humming along and any challenges are being dealt with and people have the tools that they need to succeed and excel.
Gotcha. If you don't mind me asking, what's the hardest thing about scaling a company that you have to face?
Well, keeping the culture intact, what you got to keep, you got to be very selective on who you bring on the team, who you let in the family. Because right. One, wrong person, someone who's not a cultural fit, it's like a drop of poison in a bucket of water, the whole thing's shot. So you got to be very selective, even when you're rapidly growing and you need to hire a lot of people. Like, you got to sometimes breathe and slow the process down. Don't just fill a seat to fill a seat. Make sure it's the right fit, the right individual. Keeping the entire team in alignment is so important. Keeping people in alignment, focusing on trajectory, and then fueling the momentum once you get momentum going.
That's awesome. And so you and your business partner, I guess you really complement each other very well.
Yeah, we do. We have some complementary skill sets and some unique skill sets. So it was the right, kind of mixture of personality types and skills and backgrounds that really created the magic.
Awesome. And I just have a couple more questions. This one's a little bit of a long-winded question, but I think it's really important, especially for the audience to hear. And, it might not be an extremely short answer, but, I know that there are obviously a lot of factors to success. Sometimes it's things that you can't control, like the right idea or you meet the right person or good timing. But, I believe that some of the things that you can control are just mindsets, habits, disciplines, things like, work ethic and focus and creativity. Would you mind just describing a few of those things so that, just anyone listening can, take from just the advice that you're going to give on some of the things that they can control that they should be focusing on?
Yeah, great question. I just was talking with my 13-year-old son yesterday, and I said, son, no matter what the circumstance, you can always control your effort, so effort and how much effort you're putting in. What are you doing in your downtime? Are you, searching Netflix and, scrolling through Amazon and Instagram, or are you putting concerted time and effort and thought to, whatever your business venture plan is? I mean, for me, I've got an acronym. I kind of mentioned it already that I use frequently now, and it came to me about a year ago. I was going to the ATM machine, and as long as you have a positive balance, the ATM always spits out some cash. And I thought, what, life is really an ATM that if you follow these principles, it's always going to pay you dividends. And the A, which I mentioned, it stands for alignment. You need to be in alignment with yourself. So many people are not in personal alignment, meaning what is going on behind closed doors is not the same thing that is going on out in the public. So really working on maintaining personal alignment. Like if everything that I did showed up on the front page of the New York Times, would I be okay with that? And that's kind of a new filter that I work things through. Being in alignment with your significant other, your spouse, being in alignment with your business partner, with your team. I mean, alignment is key, because disalignment, just think if your alignment's off on your car, what happens? The whole thing falls apart, drives like shit, tires wear out. So, you got to be in alignment. T being trajectory. I think too many young entrepreneurs focus on velocity, how quickly things are happening, and not put enough focus on trajectory. Are you on a positive trajectory or a negative trajectory? Because I'll tell you what, if you're on a negative trajectory and you get a big break or you get financing or whatever it is, you're just going to crash and burn even faster. So focusing on trajectory over velocity, continuing to do the right things because it's the right thing to do, be very customer centric over time. So important. Even setting off your daily trajectory. What are you doing in the morning? I mean, I'm so big on my morning routine now, and, it has to do with filling out my 5-minute journal. 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 things that'll help make today great. 1 self-affirmation. I do my Wim Hof breathing. I do a cold plunge. I do, ketogenic breakfast and coffee. I go for a walk. I do more breathing on the beach. I do some appreciation. I do a couple yoga stretches facing the sun. Like, I've figured out what works for me and what sets off my daily trajectory, so I know I can crush the day because I've given my mind, body, and spirit the tools that it needs to be successful. And then last but not least is momentum. I mean, anybody who's been in the game for any period of time knows that momentum is key. Like when you have momentum in life and business, it feels good and everything's clicking and you're in flow and boom, boom, boom. But then what happens is we stop doing all the little things that got us the momentum in the first place, and then we lose momentum, and then we realize that we've lost it. We're like, oh shit, what's going on? We've lost momentum, and you freak out. So recognizing the momentum, appreciating the momentum, and continuing to do all the little things. If you're in a relationship, this is the, taking out the trash, making dinner, buying flowers, saying I love you, date night, like all of that stuff, all those things that got you through the courting phase, that we easily kind of forget to continue to do.
That's right.
Those are the momentum creators, and and momentum begets more momentum.
Man, just the last 4 minutes is so valuable, and I hope that the audience takes from it what I just did, man. I really appreciate that. I have just one more main question, and the answer could be just a one-word answer, but I just want to ask it because you're just killing it right now. And it's okay if you want to brag a little bit, but I want to ask, how does it feel to know that, you went after your dream and you made it happen, that you've built this incredible company offering a world-class product that your customers from all over the world love and rave about. You've created hundreds of jobs, you've made money, and most importantly, you've set an example for millions of people, including your own kids. Just how does that feel?
Grateful. I'm just a dude doing the best I can for, my family and the people around me, trying to live the most authentic life that I can and have fun doing it. And I'm just grateful.
Awesome. Aaron, it's really, really been a pleasure. And I can't close this out because I want to encourage everyone listening. If you have not tried one of LifeAid's products, like you need to, can you just really quickly share the different products that you offer right now? And then just, what's coming and then the best way to connect with your brand and order?
Yeah, best way to connect with the brands to the website, LifeAid, AID, lifeaidbevco.com, or on Instagram, either at LifeAid or at FitAid. FitAid's our biggest channel. FitAid's our post-workout recovery drink. So BCAAs, glutamine, arginine. Focus Aid is our nootropic drink with a little natural caffeine hit. Party Aid's our feel good tonight and tomorrow drink. So that's got 5-HTP, milk thistle, electrolytes, immunity aid, all about immune boosting, echinacea, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D3. We have Golf Aid all around joint support, natural energy, caffeine free, and we've got our new CBD product, which has been shown to help out with inflammation. So that's the current, lineup. We've got some interesting and fun products coming. We've got our complete low-calorie line, so all of our products are really clean, no sucralose, no aspartame, no sodium, no artificial garbage in any of them, all low-calorie. We have, in 2020, we have a complete zero-sugar natural line with sweetened with monk fruit and stevia hidden as well.
Man, that is incredible. What do you guys think you'll do revenue-wise this year, if that's not too personal?
Yeah, we should do mid-30s, about 34 million, I think, and
wow.
growing by a nice clip.
Man, that's incredible. Well, Aaron, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. Like, some of the insights that you gave are incredible, and I know how busy you are. And so obviously we wish you the best of luck. We're going to continue being super loyal customers, and hopefully because of this show, you picked up some other ones. And I know a lot of them will like it as much as I do. So thank you so much for being on the show.
I appreciate it, John.
Thank you. All right, guys, I hope you absolutely loved listening to that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. You can learn all about Aaron and LifeAid by visiting their website at lifeaidbevco.com. Again, that is lifeaidbevco.com. I personally order every single month because the product just works. It tastes great, has only 11 grams of sugar, and it just doesn't make me feel like garbage an hour later. Now, before we go, I want to ask you guys for a huge favor. If you saw value in this episode, please leave us a great review on Apple and just tell somebody about it. Share the episode with somebody that you think might get value just like you did. And as always, if you want to stay in touch with me personally, the best way to do that is on Instagram at Mentor Nation Podcast. Again, that is on Instagram at Mentor Nation Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week with another incredible interview. Take care.